It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Our conversation this morning with Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi and with Phil Bourque, the old 2-9er, brought to you by Marcus and Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Mr. Manzi in the studio with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Todd. How are you today?
Wonderful, wonderful. Phil Bourque, of course, we know him so well, and I'd rather be talking to you, Phil, in the context of your being named the new general manager of the Penguins, but that ain't happening. We have a
no, that's not going to happen. Good morning, Todd, Mr. Manzi. Good morning to you, sir, and all your loyal listeners. Yeah, that's going to be an important decision made by the people that are a lot more important than me on who's the new general manager. You know, this is a crossroads for this Penguins hockey organization, that they better get this one right, because it's important, missing the playoffs after being in there 16 straight years.
Yeah. It was a shocker. It was a shocker, that game where they just had to win a simple game at the very end of the season to get in, and they did not win that game. Was something else. But we're here to talk about a different topic today. Bob, of course, you know about this because you've got the senior summit coming up, and we are talking very seriously about scams, which are getting more and more involved and more difficult to police, aren't they?
Yes, Todd. These scams that are happening, the thieves that are perpetrating the scams on our seniors and our population, they work their job full time. And they are having very elaborate scams to assault people and try to take their money in any manner they can.
Case in point, Phil Bourque, you, of course, had a very high-profile recent news item involving, was it your mother or your grandmother, Phil?
My mom, my 83-year-old mom.
Your mom, and she was the victim of a scammer, and it really is a real exemplar of what the problem is. Describe, Phil, if you would, exactly what happened to your mom.
Yeah, and hopefully not get too long-winded here. It's called the grandparent scam. And anybody who's listening right now, take your right hand, reach down, and turn up the volume. You need to hear about this. This is unbelievable. It's heart-wrenching. And to be quite frank with both you gentlemen, it's humbling to even say, my mom fell for this. Not once, but twice. And it's the same script. As you mentioned, Mr. Manzi, these people you hate to say they're good at what they do, but they're very good at what they do. And they have a script, and they're, Academy Award-winning actors. They're that good, that believable. And for my mom to fall for this, and she watches the news, and she reads the articles, and she knows about stuff like this, and she still fell for it, again, twice. The script is very simple. They come off as they do some research on social media. They're able to find out that my mom is called from my two children, my oldest daughter and my son, Madison and Dylan. They are called Nana. And we all call our grandmother something different depending on, where we grew up. Anyways, they knew to call her Nana. They knew that this woman or this girl that called her sounded just like my daughter, who just started driving. And the script is the same. Nana, I just got in an accident. I was on my phone. I rear-ended somebody. I'm in jail. They have a lawyer right here. Let me put her on. And another woman comes on and acts as the lawyer. Says there's a judge right here. Also, if you want to speak to the judge. I mean, this is so elaborate, guys. It's just off the charts. But long story short here, let me kind of cut to the chase here, is the lawyer says for 3 hours, Nana, there's an ability, there's a bond being set by the judge, and I don't want to give the amounts because, I mean, that's even more humbling, but it's a significant amount of money to get Madison out of jail. After 3 hours, it's no longer on the table. My mom is such in a panic, and also there's that they're not allowed to call me. They're not allowed to tell me anything. And so my mom goes to the bank, gets a significant amount of cash. They send a courier to her house. Here's where it gets even crazier, guys. About 2 or 3 hours later, they call back again. The quote-unquote, Madison, my daughter, says, "You're not going to believe this, Nana, but the person that I rear-ended was pregnant, and because of their religion, they have to bury the baby within 24 hours. My mom goes back to the bank, and they need more money, obviously. My mom goes back to the bank, takes out another significant amount of money, and they send a courier, and again, she gives them cash. This is just, it's mind-boggling. My mom's 83 years of age. That was her nest egg. That was allowing her to live, to pay her, her property taxes of her house that she lives in, her bills, that she can live comfortably forever long she's going to live. Mm-hmm. But now she's got her heat down to 64 degrees in the winter. I mean, it's absurd. She's living, like a very impoverished person right now because of what happened to her. So I implore you that you have anybody, and even if your mom and your dad are in their 50s or 60s, get the word out. Let the banks know about this. That if anybody in there that's elderly is coming in and taking out a significant amount of money, at least warn them. I understand their privacy, guys, but at least warn them and just say, hey, just want to make you aware that there's some major scams going on, and I just want to make sure this isn't happening to you, because it can happen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we need to point out here is your mom, even while we know that senior citizens are much more susceptible and vulnerable, your mom is not afflicted with dementia, is she?
Not at all. No, not even. No, she's very sharp, very with it, and very cognizant of her surroundings, so to speak.
D.A. Manzi, coming up is the Senior Summit. This is going to be a major part of it, isn't it?
It is, Todd. And Mr. Bourque, I appreciate you sharing your story with the listeners and relaying to everyone how important it is to be aware of all of these scams that are going on, and they can truly happen to anybody. Our Senior Summit is the culmination of a year's work. Throughout the year, my office and the Elder Abuse Task Force goes out to senior centers throughout Indiana County to share information about scams and try to raise awareness. And on May 10th at the YMCA, from 8 a.m. till noon, we're hosting a free event where any seniors can come in. Quite frankly, anybody can come in. Someone who's taking care of seniors. If you have parents, as you said, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, you're more than welcome to come. We are going to have a lot of our partners speaking about scams, scam awareness, ways to protect yourself, legal documents that can be used to protect yourself. We have the Postal Service coming in to assist. We have Aging Services of Indiana County coming in to provide information. We have a slew of vendors who provide services to seniors that are going to be there to help provide information, not only on scams and scams awareness, but all of the services available to seniors throughout our community. And this is a free event, so we encourage as many people to come to the event as possible.
And AI is something that is seeping into every aspect of society. Artificial intelligence now can make it absolutely, they just need a snippet of somebody's voice. And they can make an entire conversation through AI that is reactive so that it is even more authentic sounding.
Oh, absolutely. The AI that we're seeing come out, when they call you and they just need you to say hello or say yes or say something, we're going to see more and more AI being used to generate voices to try to make those phone calls seem much more authentic. And we talk about at the Senior Summit ways that you're able to protect yourself, basically the main capsule of how these scams work and what you can look for. And one of the biggest things we tell people is trust your gut. If your gut tells you it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah. Phil, I know that you've sat down and you've talked with your mom about this, and I imagine she just feels awful about it, and that is sometimes an obstacle you have to overcome as well. People just feel horrible when they've been victimized like this, don't they?
Yeah, and it wasn't, my mom didn't call me and tell me about this eventually. It was about 2 or 3 days later. She told my brother, who lives in Colorado, and he hung up the phone, and about 20 minutes later, it just, again, listened to his gut, and just was like, no, this doesn't sound right. He called me and told me, and I was actually on the road with the Penguins in Denver, Colorado. And I'll be honest with you guys, when I hung up that phone, the expletives that came out of my mouth in that hotel room were pretty bad, just in complete disbelief. And I had to calm myself down before I eventually did call my mom, because then I started thinking, God, if I'm this angry, she's probably equally embarrassed. And she was. She just kept saying, "I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this happened." And that's why I'm saying it does happen. That's how believable these people are. And they catch you if you're in a vulnerable moment, and they put a timeline on it, and it can happen to you. And that's why it's so great what you guys are doing here to get the word out. Because whether you have, a 4th of July picnic coming up, a birthday celebration coming up, sit there and talk about it with your family. Spread the word that this is going on out there, and don't be the one that gets caught in this trap, because that's all it is. They're throwing fishing lines in the water, and you don't want to be the one that gets the hook caught in your mouth.
And you and your brother and anybody else involved in your family, you're all part of the solution, too. Family is a real key to this, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Again, I don't want to know how deep I want to get into this, but I decided, after a few months of grinding on this and seeing how much my mom was struggling, she has a rather large home and just a lot of expenses. So I ended up auctioning off my Stanley Cup rings and my Stanley Cup game-worn jerseys, just because I knew I had to help her. And so, that auction just ended a couple weeks ago, and so it was successful enough where I can send her a big chunk of change to make up for that money that was taken from her. But my brother in Colorado's been sending her money, and we never had to do this before. You do it when it's family. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. When it's family, you'll do anything, right? When we say we'll do anything for family, we will do anything for family, and we pull together and we rally together. But it's a shame that it's come to this, that we've all had to do this because of, a 2 or 3 hour moment, a hiccup, whatever you want to call it, that my mom had, and her life savings were gone. And it's a shame that we've had to do this, but it is what it is. Life is hard. Life is difficult sometimes, and it's a shame that this is the world that we live in.
DA Bob Manzi, this event coming up is vitally important for families as a whole, because there's not one victim involved here. There are many victims involved here with one scam, and when one person falls victim, there are a ton of people who are affected by it. I know you'd love to see people come out just for that. There are many other items and services, though, that folks can take advantage of at the Senior Summit.
Yes. Again, this event is for seniors, family with seniors, because we want to have those conversations occur. When we talk to victims of scams, they always talk about that embarrassment and that anger, and we try to explain to them, we have prosecutions, we have cases where doctors, lawyers, highly educated professionals are the victims of scams. It's not just certain people. These scams are pretty intricate. So we want people to talk about them to raise those awareness. But at the event also, we're going to have vendors and services throughout Indiana County that are able to help seniors connect with the community and be able to get around and receive more services. So, Indigo Bus is going to be there to talk about transportation. Aging Services is going to be there to talk about their services. The YMCA will have information on their Silver Sneaker program. We have the state police coming, we have the borough police coming, we have the Postal Service coming, AARP, the Department of State. We have a lot of our local partners that make the Elder Abuse Task Force as strong as it is, there to show seniors and families the services available to help them out. The Alice Paul House and what they can provide, the local banks and what they can provide. So we really encourage everyone that's able to make it to come out and join us. Again, it's a free event. We believe it's going to be very popular. We really appreciate Mr. Bourque coming on today to share his story, because I think it lends a great deal of credibility to folks in the community to recognize this can happen to anybody, and this is important to learn about, to protect yourself about.
Elder abuse, it takes a team approach. It takes a team to beat them up. Phil, thank you so much for joining us. It's a poignant story, and the best to your mom and to your entire family.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy coming on and talking about that, but at some point you have to realize the worst thing that could happen is you could hear this happening to somebody else, and you felt like you could have done something to prevent it. Hopefully this little chat that we had has reached enough ears and enough people that will start spreading the word, and it doesn't happen again. And I appreciate you guys having me on and let me tell the story. I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, Phil, have a great day today, and we appreciate
you
it.
Also. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Phil Bourque of the Pittsburgh Penguins, District Attorney Bob Manzi with us this morning. Bob, thanks so much.
Thank you, Todd. Have a great day.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.